everything she loved could disappear forever. The last message she never sent. The night Aaliya disappeared, the city felt unusually quiet. It was the kind of silence that didn't belong to a place still awake at 11:47 p.m. Streetlights flickered without reason. Dogs barked at corners where nothing moved. And somewhere on the fourth floor of a dim apartment building, a phone lay on a table, screen still glowing. A message typed. A message that was never sent. The message read, "Arman, I finally know the truth. I'm scared." Just 12 words. Yet they held enough weight to break a heart, destroy a life, and unravel a story buried for years. But before that moment, before fear, before silence, before things fell apart, there was once a warmth between them, a warmth that felt permanent. Aaliya was the kind of girl people remembered even if they met her once soft-spoken, curious, always carrying a notebook where she wrote poetry no one ever saw. Life had not been kind to her, an early orphan raised by relatives who treated her like a responsibility instead of family. Yet she grew into someone who believed in second chances, even when life rarely gave her any. Arman, on the other hand, was everything she wasn't. Confident, ambitious, loved by everyone except himself. He carried a smile that fooled the world but never fooled her, and that was probably why he held on to her, the only person who saw the shadows behind his charm. They met during a university volunteer program, painting old buildings for a charity project. She spilled blue paint on his shoes. He joked that it made them look better. That was the first time she laughed in weeks. He later said that laugh saved him. They weren't perfect. They argued. They misunderstood. But they always returned to each other. Because love doesn't need perfection. It needs presence. But presence was the one thing life eventually stole from them. Months passed, graduation came, careers began. And slowly, almost invisibly, Aaliya felt Arman slip away. Not all at once. Not dramatically. But in small ways. Shorter replies. Cancelled plans. Excuses that didn't sound like him. She tried to ignore it, telling herself everyone gets busy. Yet her heart refused to believe that familiarity could suddenly feel foreign. One evening, he didn't show up for their 4th anniversary dinner. He left her waiting at a quiet restaurant for 2 hours, staring at untouched food and pretending she wasn't breaking. When he finally called at midnight, he said only one sentence. "I'm sorry, something came up." It was a simple sentence. But his voice carried a distance she had never heard before. That night she cried quietly, her tears soaking the pillow. She didn't tell him. She didn't confront him. She only whispered into the dark, "Please don't disappear." But love rarely listens to whispered prayers. The stranger who noticed what she tried to hide. During this time, someone else stepped into her life without permission and without warning, someone who noticed the cracks she tried to hide. His name was Sarmad. He worked in the same office, a senior analyst who rarely smiled but was strangely attentive toward her. Not in a romantic way, not yet, but in a way that felt too observant. He noticed when she skipped lunch, when she looked tired, when she forced a smile. One afternoon, he approached her desk. "You're losing weight," he said casually, like mentioning the weather. "I'm fine," she replied quickly. "You're not," he said, "but you will be." She didn't know what he meant, but the certainty in his tone made her uneasy. People at the office said Sarmad was brilliant but unpredictable. A man who worked late nights, avoided friendships, and guarded his private life like a fortress. Only one fact was certain. He was not someone you wanted to get on the wrong side of. Aamira ignored the warnings. She should not have. Because Sarmad wasn't just observant. He was invested. And he hid it disturbingly well. Armand's secret. While Aamira struggled with emotional distance, Armand faced a storm of his own, one he never shared with her. His younger brother, Ashad, had fallen into the wrong crowd. One bad decision led to another, until one night Armand found him trembling, injured, and terrified because of people no one wanted to owe money to. Armand tried to fix the mistake. He met those people alone. He agreed to pay what his brother owed. He begged them to threaten him instead of Ashad. He made deals he should never have made. And because of that, he began to live two lives. One where he loved Aamira. One where he feared losing everything. He never told her. Not because he didn't trust her, but because he didn't want to destroy her peaceful world with his chaos. He thought he could fix everything on his own. He was wrong. It was raining hard the night Aamira decided she couldn't live in confusion anymore. She took a deep breath and called Armand. He didn't answer. She called again. No response. She texted, "It's important. Please talk to me." Still nothing. She wrapped her shawl tightly around her shoulders, stepped onto her apartment balcony, and stared at the storm outside. Lightning flashed. Thunder cracked. Her heart felt like both. She opened her phone. She started typing a message, one she had never imagined writing. "Ahmed, I think someone is following me." She hesitated, deleted the message, typed again. "I finally know the truth. I'm scared." She didn't send it. Her hands were shaking too much. Maybe she was overthinking. Maybe it was paranoia. Maybe. A loud noise echoed from the hallway outside her apartment. Aamira froze. Her phone almost slipped from her hand. Her breath turned shallow. She stepped back slowly as the doorknob rattled. Once. Twice. Then silence. She waited. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Then 3 soft knocks, not forceful, not violent, almost polite, and somehow that made it even more terrifying. "Aamira," a familiar voice called from the other side. Her knees weakened. It was Sarmad. What was he doing here? At this hour? At her home? She didn't move, didn't answer, didn't breathe. Aamira, I know you're inside, he said gently, too gently. We need to talk. Her chest tightened. Something in his voice felt wrong. Very wrong. She grabbed her phone with trembling hands, opened the unsent message. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered, Please, Arman, please pick up. But he didn't. Lightning flashed again, illuminating the room. Aamira approached the door slowly, silently, her breath shallow. She stood inches away, heart pounding, listening. And then she heard the sound that made her blood run cold. A metal click. Like someone unlocking something. Her heart nearly stopped. Sarmad? She whispered, voice shaking. Silence. Then, in the softest tone, a tone filled with something dark, he replied, Open the door, Aamira, please. You don't have to be afraid of me. Her hand flew to her mouth. Her entire body trembled. He knew she was afraid. And he sounded hurt by it. Sarmad, please leave, she said, fighting tears. I don't know why you're here. You do? He replied. And I think it's time you stop running from the truth. Her heart sank. What truth? What did he know? Her fingers tightened around the phone. She looked at the message still glowing on the screen. Arman, I finally know the truth. I'm scared. This time she moved her thumb toward the send button, but before she could press it, the power went out. The apartment fell into darkness. And from the other side of the door, Sarmad whispered, Aamira, please don't make this harder for me. Her scream never came out. Only silence did. A silence heavy enough to hold secrets that were about to explode. The moment the lights went out, darkness swallowed the apartment whole. Not the gentle kind of darkness that comes at night. This one felt alive, heavy, watching. Aamira's breath turned cold. Just a door, only a few centimeters of wood, separated her from a man whose presence now terrified her. Sarmad, she whispered into the shadows, please, please go. Her phone screen was the only source of light. It illuminated her trembling fingers, hovering dangerously close to the send button. Arman. Her heart cried for him. But before she could press it, she heard it. A slow, deliberate exhale from the other side of the door. You're shaking, Sarmad whispered. I can hear it. Her knees nearly buckled. Outside, thunder cracked. Inside, her fear did. She stepped away from the door. 3 steps back. 4. And suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message. From Arman. Her heart leapt. She opened it with trembling hands. I can't talk now. Don't text me. I'll explain later. She reread it twice. 3 times. What did he mean, don't text me? Why couldn't he talk? Why now, when she was on the edge of collapse? Her eyes filled with tears, not only from fear, but from the pain of being left alone at the worst moment of her life. She typed quickly, Please, Armand, something is wrong. I'm scared. But she didn't send it. Her thumb froze again. Sending the message might involve him in something dangerous. And deep inside, she knew Armand always protected others, even at the cost of himself. But before she could decide, before she could gather courage, something metallic slid against the door. Amira's entire spine stiffened. He was trying to unlock it. Her voice broke. Sarmad, stop. Please, just talk to me from there. Silence. Then he laughed softly, not mockingly, but sadly, almost heartbreakingly. Aamira, I'm not here to hurt you. He placed his forehead against the door. He could hear the gentleness in his breath. I'm here because you're in danger, because someone lied to you, because you deserve to know everything. She swallowed hard. No. What? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he asked a question that froze her veins. Aamira, what has Armand told you about who he really is? Her heartbeat spiked. What? She whispered. Exactly, Sarmad replied. He told you nothing. Armand's world of broken promises. While Amira's world shook inside that dark apartment, Armand was racing through the wet streets, soaked by cold rain and breathing like a man drowning. His phone buzzed once again, a message from Amira. He didn't dare open it. He couldn't. Not now. He couldn't let her know what he had just done. He had just left a warehouse at the edge of the city, a place where men with no names settled debts no one talked about. The deal was simple. Armand would work for them. Quiet tasks, deliveries, information. Nothing violent. He refused anything involving blood. But they didn't care about his condition. Because when men like them own you, they own your fear. And tonight they demanded something impossible. He had to cut ties with every person who could be used to control him. That included Aamira. Which was why he sent her that cold message. I can't talk now, don't text me. Every word tasted like burning ash in his throat. Armand didn't want to lose her. But he couldn't let those men know she mattered. He couldn't let them see her as leverage. He loved her too much for that. But what he didn't know was that Aamira was already in danger from someone he never suspected. The door opens. Back in the apartment, Aamira pressed her back against the wall, trying to steady her breath. Her voice cracked. Sarmad, why are you doing this? I'm trying to save you, he whispered. From what? He paused, then said something that made her bones turn cold. From Armand. Her stomach twisted. No, that's not true. You think you know him, Sarmad said softly, but you don't. She heard the sadness in his tone, real sadness, not pretended. This wasn't obsession. This wasn't infatuation. This was a man who carried something heavy, something painful. Aamira, open the door, he said. I swear I will not touch you, but you need to hear a truth. Her trembling hand reached for the lock, then froze. Because suddenly, footsteps from the corridor. Someone else was there. Someone approaching. Aaliya, a faint voice called. She recognized it instantly. Her neighbor, Mrs. Rahila. A retired schoolteacher, kind, sweet, and always looking out for her. Aaliya almost cried in relief. "Auntie, I'm inside," she shouted. Sarmad's tone shifted instantly, from soft to sharp. "Aaliya, don't open that door for anyone." She ignored him. She unlatched the small safety latch on the door and opened it 2 inches. The corridor was dimly lit. Mrs. Rahila stood there holding a small lantern. "My dear child, I heard noises. Are you all right?" "Yes, someone." And then she saw it. Behind the old woman, at the far end of the corridor, a shadow, tall, still, watching. Not Sarmad. Someone else? Her blood ran cold. Mrs. Rahila touched her cheek with concern. "Aaliya Beta, come with me. You shouldn't be alone." Before she could finish, a hand shot out from behind her and grabbed her arm sharply. The lantern dropped and shattered. The corridor went dark. "Auntie!" Aaliya screamed. The old woman cried out in pain. "Aaliya, close the door, right now!" Sarmad shouted from inside. But she couldn't. She couldn't leave the old woman helpless. Without thinking, without fear. She flung the door open completely and rushed into the corridor. Her breathing stopped. The person holding the old woman was wearing a hood, face hidden. The moment he saw Aaliya, he let go of Mrs. Rahila and lunged toward Aaliya. She backed up wildly. Before he could reach her, she felt a firm hand grab her wrist and yank her inside her own apartment. It was Sarmad. He pulled her in with force and slammed the door shut. Then, bang! A heavy fist slammed the door from outside. Bang! Again. Aaliya stumbled backward, shaking uncontrollably. "Sarmad, what is happening?" He didn't answer. He dragged a table and pushed it against the door. Outside, the banging continued. Louder, faster. The person wasn't trying to knock. They were trying to break in. Aaliya covered her ears and screamed. "Sarmad, please tell me what's going on." He turned to her slowly. His face, normally unreadable, was now filled with something she had never seen in him. "Fear. They found you," he whispered. "Found me? Who? Why?" He looked away, then said the name she least expected. "Aman's people." Her world stopped. What do you mean, Armand's people? He doesn't have people." "Yes, he does," Sarmad whispered, "and they're dangerous." Her heartbeat roared in her ears. "You're lying," she said, backing away. "Why would you even say that?" Another loud bang hit the door. This time the wood cracked slightly. Sarmad grabbed her shoulders. "Listen to me. He made a deal with people who don't forgive. He owes them something. They think you know his secrets. They think he told you." No, he didn't tell me anything. They don't believe that. Her tears spilled uncontrollably. Why would they come after me? Sarmad's voice softened. Because you're the only person he cares about. The pounding stopped outside. Silence returned. A horrible, suffocating silence. Amira's breaths came in shallow bursts. If you knew all this, she whispered, why didn't you tell me earlier? Sarmad stepped back. His jaw tightened like swallowing a truth too heavy to carry. Because, he said quietly, I thought I could protect you alone. She stared at him, shocked. Why would you protect me? For the first time since she met him, his mask cracked. Because he closed his eyes and whispered a confession that hit her like a storm. Because I'm the reason Armand got involved with those people. Her pulse crashed. What? He opened his eyes filled with guilt. It was me, Aamira. I dragged him into that world. And now they're hunting you because of it. The door creaked again. The handle twisted violently. Aamira screamed. But Sarmad grabbed her arm. Aamira, there's no time. You have to leave, now. I can't. Yes, you can. I'll handle them. No, you'll get hurt. He shook his head. I've already hurt enough people. Let me fix at least one mistake. The door cracked open slightly. A man's hand slid through the gap. Aamira stepped back, choking on fear. Sarmat, she cried. He pushed her toward the kitchen. Go, through the back window, run. Her legs refused, but survival forced her to move. She stumbled toward the back of the apartment. Wall on the front door finally cracked open. Sarmad turned toward the intruder. And as Aamira climbed onto the window ledge, she heard him shout, If you want her, you'll have to get through me. Two sounds followed. A heavy thud and a loud scream, Sarmad's. Aamira covered her mouth. Tears blurred everything. She pushed herself through the small window and disappeared into the rainy night. Rain poured in sheets, soaking Aamira as she ran down the narrow alley behind her apartment. Every step was a battle against the slippery ground, against the fear that clawed at her chest, and against the memory of Sarmad's scream echoing in her ears. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The sound of heavy boots behind her told her everything she needed to know. They were coming. Her hands were trembling as she reached the end of the alley. There, barely visible through the rain, was an abandoned parking lot. Cars were rusted, windows shattered, a perfect place to disappear or to be cornered. Her mind raced. Who had betrayed her? Who had lied? And most importantly, why had Armin stayed silent? A stranger in the shadows. Suddenly, a voice cut through the storm. Calm, controlled, familiar. Aamira. She froze. Armand stepped out from the shadows, soaked to the bone, his hair plastered to his face, his eyes, wide and filled with something she couldn't immediately place, locked on hers. I don't understand, she whispered. Why didn't you tell me?" He looked away, swallowing hard. "I couldn't," he admitted. "Not until I knew it was safe. Everything I said, everything I did, was to keep you away from them, from me, from this life." Her tears mingled with the rain. "You're lying. You left me. You abandoned me." "I didn't have a choice," he said, voice breaking. "They would have used you, hurt you. I couldn't risk it. I thought I could fix everything alone." Her hands shook. "And Sarmad, what about him? He saved you," Armand said quietly. "Even if it cost him, even if I failed him." Amira's mind flashed back. The metal door, the pounding, the scream. The way Sarmad had thrown himself in front of danger, all to protect her. She realized then that she had misjudged him. "Why?" she asked softly. "Why did he care so much?" Armand hesitated. Then finally he whispered a truth that made her chest tighten. "Because Sarmad is my brother too. Half-brother. I didn't know it until recently, and the debt he tried to pay, it was mine before it was his." The rain fell harder. Lightning split the sky. Amira's world, already fragmented, began to make a strange kind of sense. The confrontation. Behind them, the footsteps grew louder. They were no longer chasing, they were hunting. Armand grabbed her hand. "We have to move, now." They ran across the lot, slipping over wet concrete until they found the stairwell of an abandoned building. It smelled of rust and mildew, perfect for hiding or for a trap. The first figure appeared at the entrance of the lot, tall, masked, silent. Others followed. Amira clutched Armand's arm. "What do we do?" she whispered. He looked at her, her eyes hardening with resolve. "We fight or we run, but I'm not losing you, not tonight." The intruders advanced. One stepped forward, pulling a knife from under his coat. Armand's instincts kicked in. He grabbed a metal pipe from the stairwell and swung. A blur of movement, a clash, a scream. Amira ducked behind a pillar, heart hammering, every nerve screaming. And then she saw it, Sarmad's body, half hidden in shadow, fighting with one of the masked men. "No," she whispered. Sarmad caught the intruder off guard, throwing him into a wall. Blood ran down his arm, but his eyes were sharp, unwavering. "Go," he shouted at her. "Now." Armand grabbed her. Together they ran up the stairs, each step echoing like thunder. Last message. Finally, they reached the rooftop. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but the air was still thick with tension. Amira collapsed against the ledge, gasping. Her phone lay in her pocket. The unsent message, the one that had haunted her all night, the one she had never dared to send. She pulled it out, staring at it. "Armand, I finally know the truth. I'm scared." Her thumb hovered over send. Armand looked at her. "What were you doing?" I don't know if I should," she whispered. "I typed this, and I never sent it. Maybe you needed to know I was scared. Maybe I needed you to know I was scared without knowing why." He reached for her hand. "You don't need to send it. you've been brave enough already. You've survived what most people couldn't imagine." Her tears fell freely now. The phone slipped from her hands. But she didn't feel fear anymore, because for the first time that night, she understood something. The message wasn't about sending it. It was about acknowledgement, about facing the truth, about survival. The twists revealed. From the shadows, a figure approached, masked, silent, the leader. Armand stepped in front of Aaliya. "You won't hurt her," he said. The man laughed, a low, chilling sound. "She's not the one I want. It's you. He sent me to get him. But now I see. Maybe I'll take both." Armand's mind raced. He needed a plan, and then he remembered. Sarmad. From behind, Sarmad appeared bloodied, bruised, but alive. He tackled the masked man, a struggle breaking out in a tangle of fists and rain-soaked clothes. Armand grabbed Aaliya. "Go! Hide behind the chimney." She obeyed, heart pounding. And then she saw something she never expected. The masked man was not a stranger. It was someone she had trusted, someone who had been close to Armand. The betrayal hit her like lightning. It was Ashad, Armand's younger brother, the same brother Armand had tried to protect from the wrong crowd. I had to," Ashad stammered, face pale. "They promised. They said if I didn't, they'd kill me." Armand's expression shattered, rage, pain, and heartbreak all at once. "You were supposed to stay away from this," Armand shouted. "I couldn't," Ashad cried. "I didn't want anyone else hurt. I swear I didn't want Aaliya. I didn't." Aaliya stepped out from behind the chimney. "It's over," she said softly, voice trembling. "Enough. All of you. Enough." Her words had power. Something in her tone, a combination of fear, courage, and heartbreak, made everyone pause. Sarmad looked at her, nodding. Armand's eyes softened. "Yes," she continued, "no more secrets, no more lies, no more running." And somehow, in the chaos, that command felt like the first ray of light after a storm. Resolution and emotional closure. By dawn, the rooftop was quiet. The rain had stopped. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Neighbors had called after hearing screams. Armand sat on the edge, soaked, bruised, and exhausted. Aaliya approached him carefully. She placed a hand on his shoulder. "I never sent the message," she admitted, "but maybe it didn't need to be sent. You knew how I felt, even without words, and maybe that's enough." Armand looked at her, tears brimming. "You're right. I should have told you everything. I should have let you in, but I was afraid of losing you before I even had a chance to protect you." She smiled through her tears. "I'm still here, and you're still here. That's what matters." Sarmad appeared, bruised but alive. He gave a small, awkward smile. "She's right. You too survive storms like this. You can survive anything." And then in that moment, the last message she never sent finally found its purpose. Not as a cry for help, not as a confession of fear, but as a silent witness to courage, love, and survival. Amira and Armand stood together on the rooftop. The city was waking. Birds chirped cautiously. Streetlights flickered out as the sun rose. They had been tested, betrayed, hunted, and broken. And yet, they had survived. Because sometimes the messages we never send carry more power than the ones we do. Sometimes silence speaks louder than words. And sometimes love is measured not by what we say, but by what we endure. The message was never sent, but the story lives on. If you felt this journey, hit like and subscribe for more.